Hey y'all, we just wanted to hop on and check in. We are Dr. Shannon Deer and Kristin Dickerson.
She's Kristin. I'm Shannon.
Wait, which one am I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Gotcha. We are with Oh My Word.
And we have a ton of exciting stuff coming out this month that we are so excited to share with you. And we're starting it by launching this YouTube channel and getting it out there to the world.
Yeah, so we're just going to come here, talk to y'all. We're going to interview amazing people. We have tons of awesome interviews lined up with some friends, some colleagues, some people we've heard about through the grapevine, and even some big names.
Yep, you're going to know some of them, especially if you grew up in the church in the 90s like we did. You'll know Josh Harris, who will be our first interview that we'll be releasing this week, so get ready and excited.
He is the author of I Kissed Dating Goodbye and then the creator of the documentary I Survived, I Kissed Dating Goodbye.
Yeah, and he'll talk all about his experience writing a book at 21 years old in a very evangelical church and with really conservative ideals about waiting until marriage to kiss and kind of how his views on that have evolved. So let's take a step back.
Yeah.
Who are we first?
Yeah, who are we?
Who's Oh My Word? And then we'll tell them who we are.
Our goal at Oh My Word is to help parents have conversations with their kids. So the typically difficult conversations, so particularly the talk, we have an amazing online course. We literally wrote the scripts and created this course for families like you guys to be able to just make the talk easy. You know, it used to be this sweaty palm, nervous, anxious, heart racing, dreaded one-time sit-down conversation. And we've changed that to being just hundreds of short conversations and engagements and looking for ways to talk to your kids. And we're going to show you guys how to do all of that.
Oh, and we're sisters. So I remember our dad sitting me down when I was really young and having the talk by the fireplace, and I still can't look at that fireplace. No, but it doesn't have to be that traumatic conversation. We've really made it easy and broken it down for families. We did certainly start with one of the hardest conversations, or one of the conversations parents think are the hardest. It really is not.
Go big or
we make
go
it
home,
so
though,
easy.
right?
That's right.
Go straight for the birds.
That's
and the
right.
bees. Yeah.
And so we've helped hundreds of families in our online course, Not the Talk and Not the Talk Advanced, and lots of fun stuff to help families with kids of any age walk through this with their children and bring really open, honest conversations between parents and children, which is so important for kids' developments. And we'll talk about that all through this YouTube channel. But we really wanted to bring that to the public now. And so that's why we started the YouTube channel, is so that we can, you know, the course really walks through, and it's fun and funny, and we're silly and tell horribly embarrassing stories about our lives. But the course really is like, here's the script, here's what you can say to your kids. This is really more about the conversations and the dialogues and some of the stuff that we all need to work through before we really even talk to kids about this. We talk to so many parents who, you know, say, oh my gosh, I've really struggled with this aspect of talking about sex. Maybe I can't even talk to my partner about it. I don't know how to talk to my kids about it. And this is the place where we can really say, okay, here's how we talk through all of that and deal with all of that. And then the course will walk you through exactly what you can say to your kids. But this is really more the conversational stuff. We found people really love talking about.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think because it's such an off-the-table conversation. Like most people, maybe a few people, but most people don't go out to dinner with their friends and say, oh, this is how I had the talk with my kid. Or my kid asked, you know, what's a blowjob, or, you know, like you don't usually just openly talk about that. And so
unless you come to dinner with us, and then like that's pretty much all you talk about.
We kind of berate you, and then you never want to go out to dinner with us ever again.
No,
because
it's hilarious.
we're embarrassing. But no, but you know, families, like, because it's usually off the table, then as soon as we ask somebody, what was your experience, you know, growing up, or what is your experience with your kids, it is like the dams are broken, and all of a sudden they're sharing anything and everything because it's finally okay to talk about, right? Whatever their experience was, good, bad, or in between. But let's tell them who we are bad. Too. Well, I know.
Yeah.
That we're going to change that though.
Yeah,
Not bad anymore.
Yeah.
But my background is I was a parent and childbirth educator for almost 10 years. I taught I'm a little bit biased, but at the greatest children's hospital in the country, Texas Children's Hospital. And I, grew and learned there so much. And, my kids, it was very normal for them. I'd be previewing a birth video or something in the living room, and they'd walk through and they'd be like, oh, there's a baby coming out of a vagina. No big deal. Mom's just viewing another video. So that part came
in her free time, just like spare time,
birth videos. And so, they'd walk through and they were like, oh, that's completely normal. So they knew birth, and that came really easily. And so the transition from birth to, oh, wait, okay, how did that baby actually get in there? That was really easy to just, flow into. And so that's kind of, how that conversation came easily for me, not because I'm just so highly educated or this was just magically easier, because our parents did it well, because just like every other parent in the 80s and 90s, they didn't, have open conversations with us.
We talk about it all the time with them now.
Yeah.
And they apologize often for not having had
which
the conversation
it's just, we know better now, right? And so I think most parents of our generation know that it needs to be done better, and know that maybe their parents didn't do a good job, but don't have the words to be able to do that, right?
Right. And what I love about your background too is that as a parent educator, I mean, that's what you did at the hospital, was you really worked with parents to educate them on how to, everything from, even pre-birth, but how to really care for their kids.
Breastfeeding, basic baby care.
All these conversations and the things that can be really tough for parents. And so you had that experience that laid the foundation to really start this course to talk to parents about anything, really, and to help parents talk to their kids about anything.
And I have my own 4 kids that I got to use as a guinea pig to start these conversations.
I love talking to your kids about like their birth story, right? And hearing them go through that. And I love hearing all the conversations that you have with your kids when they walk in the kitchen and ask this question that most parents would go and just avoid the conversation. You really lean into it in a way that it doesn't have to be a big deal, and is beautiful.
One of the things I hear from parents actually a lot that who've actually gone through the course, they'll say, I loved. So we recorded, one of the modules that we recorded is me talking to the kids, is walking them through the anatomy graphics. And so my 8-year-old at the time, we said, what is this? And he said, the uterus. And I'm like, close, it's the umbilical cord, right? So
that was the uterus. He got closer. I think uterus.
Okay, the uterus was cord, uterus. Yeah. Okay, I'll give him that.
Like umbilical
but it wasn't right, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't this perfect conversation where my kids sat down and said, oh, yes, this is the uterus, and that's the bag of water. It's a work in progress. It's always kind of chipping away at that.
And that was your child who was probably, 8, 9 at the time? He was 8 at the time, yeah. So it's not like they're going to get it. These are hard words. They're not going to get it perfect.
Right.
Just like at 2, they're not going to get elbow exactly right. But eventually, they know what an elbow is in the same way that we want them to know what a uterus is.
Because you're always talking about it. It's just normal and acceptable.
Yeah.
So I do want to let you introduce yourself, too.
I'm the other sister.
This is my sister. This is my sister. So, a league of their own. This is our daughter, Chris. Actually, this is our daughter, Shannon. This is our other daughter, Shannon's sister. Because
it never happens that way.
She's
she
a
steals
doctor.
The spotlight 100% of the time.
Well, I gave our parents 4 grandkids, so that kind of gave me a 1-up. But you are the smart sister, which is proven by the fact that you're wearing a blazer today.
It's kind of my work uniform.
Smart
people
can't
get away from
wear blazers. That's just a rule. It's in the handbook of doctors.
She's the funny one. Our parents used to tell us that when we were little. I don't know if that was the best thing, but I'm just kidding. We always said it too. So
we own it. We own our roles very well, I think.
Yeah. So I'm a professor and I teach, and I also do a lot of research, and my research kind of spans a lot of different things. But one of the areas of research is related to women who have experienced sexual exploitation and sex trafficking. And so that really made me think, what can we do different much earlier to help kids really understand how to avoid some challenging situations or to protect them from those challenging situations. I've also done a study on True Love Waits, or sex education in the church, which was an abstinence-only movement in the 90s that many of us experienced.
To sum that up, it was promise out loud that you won't have sex, sign a pledge card. Yeah, True Love Waits. sign a pledge card, wear a ring.
Right.
And that ring will act sort of as like a shield to
I think that's how you interpreted the ring. The ring was going to act like a shield.
Well, that promise was all you needed, right? The parents
right.
were like, check that off my list. This is neat and tidy. Tie it up with a bow and let's move on, right?
Right. And for parents, it was really what the message we heard was just don't do it.
Yeah.
We don't need to tell you anything else because you're just not going to do it. At least you're just not going to do it until you're married.
I heard someone else who said it was they didn't even receive it as just don't do it. They received it as just don't talk about it.
Oh, right.
Because they know it's happening, but they don't want to know about it.
Certainly if you're doing it, don't make sure nobody finds out about it.
Yeah.
Like don't get pregnant.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But don't do it. And that really left all of our generation with so much confusion about where is the line. If we're not going to have sex, where is the line? If we... you talked about the shield. Like, we've had this really false sense of security that, well, I'm not going to do it because I'm wearing a purity ring and I signed a card. And then a lot of us were disappointed or disappointed others around us. And Or pregnant.
I mean, because the research shows that after the True Love Waits, really the result of the True Love Waits movement was increased pregnancy rates, increased STD rates, because kids were 95% of teens have sex, before they're married or people.
Yeah, let's say that again.
Okay.
95% of people around our age
had sex before they were married, right? Yeah. And so a result of that was they were having sex, but they didn't feel like they could go talk to their parents because here I've made this promise and I'm wearing this ring. And so they would just have sex without, protection, without knowledge, without education. And that led to all of these negative outcomes.
And it wasn't even just, I can't talk to my parents. A lot of times it was, I can't talk to my partner. I can't talk to my girlfriend or boyfriend about this because we're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And so then, oh, whoops, it just happened. Mm-hmm. And it left a lot of people in our generation with a lot of guilt and shame and confusion around what does this really mean? And what is my self-worth? Because a lot of people... I'd say myself included, a lot of people attached our self-worth to the promise we made on that pledge card. And so we talk about that some with our guests because it is an experience that a lot of people we know had. So when they're on the show, certainly when you hear the interview with Josh Harris, that comes up a lot because that was a big part of Josh's story and his experience. And, he really was the face of the purity movement at some point in a lot of ways. And so we talk about, So we talk about that in his interview, but it comes up from time to time. And so because of the study that I did
but also even the people who didn't go through True Love Waits.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody who said, oh, my parents did this really well. Maybe they handed them a book at most, but there was no open dialogue, even the people who weren't raised in the church. So we feel like this serves truly every family.
Right. Absolutely. And to be clear, we were raised in a church, but the course is very value neutral that we offer. And we really try to make our conversations here fairly value neutral too. Yeah. We might be a little bit more open here than we are in the course, but we want families with any set of values to feel comfortable coming here. We really want the course and not even just the course, but the results to be there for every family in the world. Because this is so important to make sure that kids have these answers.
So we said we were going to record a 5-minute video. I think we've hit the 13-minute mark. But the purpose of this YouTube channel is to come here, to have fun, to have conversations, to have open dialogue, to really, just learn from each other. So even though we've written the script and we've written the course and we've done all of the research, we want to learn from the people that we're talking to. We want to learn from different perspectives and be open to hearing from all different backgrounds. And so that's why we're here. We think it's going to be really fun. We want to share great content with y'all. We want to give lots of free content to you. We want you to feel like, oh, I know these people. They've given me something. They provided me value through these conversations. And
one of the biggest compliments we received in the course was that one of the people who went through it said that she felt like she was listening to her two big sisters. Yes. And she has big sisters. Yeah. And she was like, I can't talk to them about this. So we're like those big sisters you can actually have these open, honest conversations with.
She said, whenever I have these conversations, I hear y'all in my head. And I thought, well, that's a little bit scary if I'm in your brain. But that was a great compliment.
But certainly the course is us talking to people who have signed up for the course. But this YouTube channel can really be a two-way dialogue with all of you. And we want to hear from you. We'd love to, if you have a story you want to tell, if you have, if you've done this well, if you've done this poorly, if you experience this well, experience this poorly, we want to hear from you. And so this is a place where we can talk to you too.
Unless you hate us, and then we don't want to hear from you.
We don't want to hear
We're just not for you. That's okay too.
No. But if you want to have these conversations, we can engage with you here. And it's been really fun. You'll see after we release Josh's interview, we'll release some other interviews with parents who have gone through the course. And, you know, it's really cool to hear how this has really changed their relationship and created some depth in their relationships with their kids because they're able to talk about anything now.
Yeah. And our goal is to get every family to feel that way. So we want, you know, this is a little bit lofty, but we want at least every American parent to have this course in their hands, in their arsenal when it comes to, you know, raising great, well-rounded kids. We can't just ignore this one conversation and say, oh, they'll figure it out from their friends or they'll figure it out from Google. It'll be fine. You know, I turned out all right, but we know that, you know, we have issues because we weren't talked to, right?
And you have a lot of issues. I only have a few issues.
I'd say you have more.
I have way more issues.
But yeah, we all have our thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, we want to minimize that for our kids, and we want to be there for your family. And so we're here. We're ready.
Yeah. So join this journey with us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. What do the kids
As my kids say, I know that's subscribe. Click and subscribe below. Do something to make sure that you get the rest of our videos because they're going to be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. See y'all there.